Welcome to this YouTube series on emergency of 1975 to 76 and the fight against that. We are focusing on the fight against that with George Fernandes, who was, for a lot of us who lived those days, was the hero of the struggle against emergency. Today we have with us Chris Emmanuel Dsouza, an insurance analyst who's working in Canada now, but he is from the neighborhood of Joseph's ancestral home at Mangalore. Welcome, Chris. You
Yeah.
wrote this book, Ban Samrat, Tales
Yes.
from a Eternal Rebel.
Yes.
What made you get to write it?
Basically, see, I am from a different generation. I'm from a millennial generation. And when I started watching or about politics, that was around 20 years ago. That was a time where there were Vajpayee, Advani, and George Fernandes were the three big wigs of Indian politics. And to me, I didn't know who George Fernandes was. I was watching him on television. He was our defense minister. And then, like, when people used to come and talk, and everybody, oh, George Fernandes. And then I came to know that he was actually from my hometown. And as an 18, 20-year-old, we are not bothered about it. And he was like very not well dressed, like he was using those kurtas, not well combed hair, very simple man. Then few times he came to my college for inaugurating some things.
Yeah.
And then I started doing some study on this man. Like, what is he about? Because I couldn't imagine that somebody from Bangalore could raise up to the level of a defense minister, and he was Vajpayee's right hand man. And I couldn't believe. And even among hardcore, as I know, I'm from South Canada, Dakshina Kannada, which is a hotbed of Hindutva politics. When I used to meet some of these youngsters who were part of this Hindutva movement, they used to have a very good view of George Fernandes because he was now the main man now. He was actually bringing NDA together, and they were actually having, almost worshipping him. Then even among the socialists, he was a hero. And then I wanted to know like who this man was, what, and I couldn't find much because those were the pre-internet. There, all the internet was there. The pre, there was not much information about it. And then I had to write few articles in websites here, and I got some information, started writing about it. But the main reason, one of the main reason was after his death, actually. So after his death, the amount of sources, secondary sources that I could find on internet and through people and through books, that actually intrigued me. I really wanted to know this man. I mean, like uh, his life was like a reading a thriller book. Um, Starting from like his heydays from Bangalore, you know, he was a thrown out boy. He was not the cream boy. He was not he was kicked out of the house and then went to seminary, came back, and then started some union movements here, failed here, went to Bombay, struggled, and had this, he dealt with all these big landlords, gundas in the dockyards, then fought elections in Bombay, and wait, Mr. S.K. Patil. I mean, S.K. Patil can be compared to today's Amit Shah. He was
Yeah.
the Congress chief, and S.K. Patil had once said, only God, even God cannot defeat me. And this man goes there and defeats him. And this boy from Bangalore, I mean, there is no political affiliation, a political connection. He just, he just made himself. And among the Catholics, there is no such passion to become a politician. Everybody wants to study and go abroad. We are very, we're very conformist. We are not rebellion. John Fernandez was a cutout of a different cloth. So that was one of the main reasons that intrigued me to write the book.
Okay. So you went through his days in Bangalore as a trade union person, and
Yes,
then also up to you cover
yes,
up to the election to parliament, is it not?
yes, yes.
Okay. So how do one of the major things in the history which as a trade unionist, George Saab is remembered for the railway strike of just
Yes,
before the emergency.
yes,
So it was like a watershed moment in Indian politics and the
mm,
system, because
yes,
it was a make or break uh, uh, strike.
situation. Yeah,
And George Fernandes is known for, otherwise known as the king of Bombay, because he could shut down Bombay any day in
yes,
the
yes,
60s.
yes,
So
yes.
what is it? What is it you found out? He stood out from other trade union leaders in Bombay.
To me, I felt that George Fernandes was one thing. There were many other leaders like Data Samantha and everybody else. But George Fernandes had this unique caliber in striking deals, even with his oppositions. Um, he was a rebel. He was to fight for the lowest of the lowest, poorest of the poorest. But then he had two things in him. One was, although he had a socialist background, he was also a nationalist. He had a very strong nationalist affiliation as well. That is also attributed to his connection to um, the great forgot his name actually of the from the freedom fighters, be it JP movement and even other socialists as well.
Yeah,
From the strong,
socialist. I think that
yeah,
you mentioned socialist Lohia,
yes,
Ramanohar Lohia.
yes, Ramanar Lohia,
Yeah.
because Ramanar Lohia was he calls himself as one of his most important gurus. Lohia, although was a socialist, was also having a strong nationalist, connections as well. He also went to many RSS meetings as well, and they were strong anti-Pakistan, anti-China as well. So, George Fernandez, apart from being socialist, he was also part of this Jamsung protest march as well, and this political party, Samyukta Socialist Party, which was a breakaway from the PSP, the Praja Socialist Party, which
Yeah.
was actually formed by George Fernandes and Ramon Loya and few other socialists. Basically, that they actually went on protesting against during the Pakistan war, during China war. They were in the forefront demanding the resignation of VK Menon. Not many other socialists did that, but they did it. So one thing was that, because that's why he was having a very good relationship with the right wing as well.
Okay.
But he had the caliber to deal, make good deals. Like during he made several strikes for the best, the BEST, which is Bombay Municipal Corporation. So he made several strikes, but he was able to strike a deal. Even during railway movement, he was able to strike a deal, but there's something that didn't work out. So finally, he was arrested, and then the rest was history. So that was one of
So
the
you
few
mean to
differences.
say, even as a politician, he will flex his muscles, but he will come down to have an agreement so that the people, the
Yeah,
workers who
yes,
was with him, will benefit from the strike. Is it not?
yeah, yes, yes,
So that way, he is a positive person. He's not making deals for himself. He's making the deal for the workers with him.
yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, because the allegation against the later
mm,
day unions, even in Bombay, was that they
mm.
were all deal makers for
Uh-huh.
themselves mostly, at the expense of the workers
Yeah.
whom they
But on
probably
the yeah,
represent.
yeah, but on the contrary to that, actually, George Fernandes was definitely, the deal maker for the workers, because if you look back the history and look back some of the movements, even the taxi union movements, and they actually they were able to create something better for the workers. Today, the taxi union movement, or the earlier he started with dockyards. The railways. I mean, look at there is an improvement in pay scale, and it's in a better position from where it was back then. So certainly, George Fernandes had its influence, and even with all striking these deals, he knew that end of the day, people have to eat. You know, so
I also heard that railway, he was the railway combined unions, the leadership went to him because many people were planning a strike, but they couldn't get it done. And then there's a general feeling that Joe Fernandes is the only one who can organize, get it done. So he was
yes.
made the president so that the long planned strike can be done.
Yes.
Did you find any proof of that in your book?
Uh, what my interaction with few BST workers was that there were because always there are few unions that had connections with other political parties as well. So that was there was always this thing like there were a few moles within the union. Although most of the unions were connected to the socialist wings, there were a few unions which were under the payroll. Within the unions, there were people under the payroll of the establishment, and during those days, the establishment was the Congress establishment. And with S.K. Patel, he made sure, even if he lost in 67 elections, he made sure that George Fernandes lost the 71 elections. He pumped money and he did all the backroom deals. Even with among these unions, because once he became a politician, he found it very hard to manage the unions because then he was a politician, he was a diplomat. You have to be a diplomat. Before 67, George Fernandes was more of a angry young man who would go to any level. But then after that, there were people who were disgruntled. So the 67 was it's a good thing for him on a personal level, becoming a politician. But we did serve him well later on, being a trade union.
Because one can make out even now the trade unions which he promoted, created, and nourished, they are cool on him in his legacy. Is that the reason that he became more of a politician and discarded the initial years?
There are a few other things as well. The one thing is, you see, the whole ethos has changed today. There is a lot of things because what we are talking about, the socialist movement. I mean, if you talk to the kids today, Gen Z, people don't even know what socialism was about and what socialist movement was. We are talking about 40, 50 years ago. That was a totally different world. And plus, George Fernandes is actually, unfortunately, his legacy is more known to what he did in the 90s and 2000s, striking a deal with the RSS and the BJP. And that actually did go well with some of his old friends, old comrades. Many journalists and many of his fellow travelers, fellow agitators, union workers, they were totally unhappy. Although George Fernandes is still, worshipped by them, revered by them, they still they cannot fathom that why did he actually end up, And he actually, there was another thing that he failed to do was the Gujarat riots that took place, the pogrom that took place. He failed to condemn it. He failed to condemn that. Plus, the continuous attack on Christians in Orissa and UP and Bihar in the late 90s during the Vajpayee era, where George Fernandes actually stood silent. He never spoke a word. So that actually the contrarian personality of George Fernandes actually might have disgruntled and put many people away from him. The kind of reverence they had back in the days, that may have lost some steam towards the end.